All right, so are you ready to explore some poems?
Always.
Today we're taking a deep dive into the world of Emily Dickinson.
Oh, excellent.
We're going way beyond the typical biographical details and straight to the heart of her poetry.
Sounds fascinating.
We're focusing on the 1891 edition of her poems. This edition, edited by Mabel Loomis Todd and T.W. Higginson after Dickinson's death, is like a time capsule, giving us a glimpse into how her work was received by the world.
It's a really crucial addition, because it was the first time a significant portion of her work became available to the public.
And it caused quite a stir, didn't it?
Definitely. I mean, here you have this woman living a very private life, and suddenly the world is exposed to these intense, unconventional poems. It really challenged the literary establishment of the time.
It makes you think about Dickinson's relationship with the idea of success, you know?
How so?
Well, she wasn't seeking fame during her lifetime, and yet here she is, achieving it posthumously.
That's a really interesting point. And it's striking. One of the very first poems in that 1891 edition is actually titled Success.
You're right. What a powerful way to introduce her work to the world.
Almost like a statement, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So let's dig in. What does Dickinson, a woman who seemingly shunned the spotlight, have to say about success?
Well, let's just say she had a way of turning expectations on their head. In Success, she writes, "Success is counted sweetest by those who ne'er succeed."
Whoa. Now that's something to think about. It's like she's saying that the only people who truly understand success are the ones who have tasted failure, who know what it means to fall short of their goals.
Absolutely. Dickinson challenges us to look at success from the perspective of those who haven't quite reached it.
Because maybe they're the ones who appreciate it most when they do.
Right. It's that longing, that yearning, that gives success its sweetness.
So it's not really about the achievement itself, but the journey it takes to get there.
That's a great way to put it. It's about the struggles, the setbacks, the moments of doubt that make the victory that much sweeter.
Which actually makes me think about Dickinson's own journey to recognition. She wasn't seeking fame during her lifetime, and yet here we are, over a century later, still reading and analyzing her work.
It's amazing, isn't it? Her poems, hidden away in her home, finally found their audience.
And they continue to resonate with readers today. Maybe the editors of the 1891 edition recognized that power even back then.
It's certainly possible. They were introducing her work to a world that might not have been ready for it.
A world that maybe wouldn't have understood her unique perspective.
And perhaps they thought that by placing Success, this poem that redefines the very idea of achievement right at the beginning, they could prepare readers for what was to come.
To make them question their own definitions of success and failure.
Exactly. And it wasn't just success that Dickinson explored in her own way. Remember that line in Success where she writes, "To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need."
Oh, how could I forget? It's such a powerful image. The idea that we can only truly appreciate something when we've experienced its absence.
Precisely. And that appreciation for the bittersweet nature of life, for the highs and lows, is something that resonates throughout so much of her work, especially when it comes to love and loss.
And speaking of love and loss, there's no shortage of those themes in this collection. The Soul Selects Her Own Society and If You Were Coming in the Fall are two that immediately come to mind.
Such powerful explorations of love's complexities.
The way she writes about longing, about choosing solitude, even in the face of connection, it's incredibly relatable even today.
It really is. Like in The Soul Selects Her Own Society, when she uses that striking metaphor of the soul as a room closing its door to the world.
Yes, that image has always stayed with me, and it makes you wonder, was Dickinson truly content with her solitude, or was there a sense of longing beneath the surface?
That's the question, isn't it? And it's one that continues to fascinate scholars and readers alike.
It's part of what makes her poetry so enduring, so thought-provoking. She doesn't shy away from life's complexities, and in doing so, she invites us to confront them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she doesn't just explore these themes in a vacuum, Her understanding of the natural world plays a huge role in how she approaches these bigger questions of love, loss, and what it means to be human.
And that's a connection we can't ignore. Dickinson's relationship with nature was so central to her work, so let's dive into that world, shall we? It really makes you appreciate how she could find such profound meaning in the everyday world around her.
Like in The Grass, where she takes something as simple as grass and transforms it into the symbol of resilience, of life constantly renewing itself.
Right. Or how about In a Day, when she describes the sunrise as a ribbon at a time? It's such a simple image, but it captures the beauty of those gradual transitions we often miss in our busy lives.
It's like she's inviting us to slow down, to pay attention to the small wonders that surround us.
Exactly. To look at the world with fresh eyes, like we're seeing it for the first time.
And it wasn't just the visual beauty of nature that captivated her, you know. She was fascinated by the sounds, the movements, the energy of the natural world.
You're right. Like in The Bee, where that buzzing creature becomes a victorious soldier. Or in The Wind, where she describes the wind brushing the sky with tufts of tune.
It's like she creates this whole symphony of sensations in her poems, bringing the natural world to life right before our eyes.
And it's through those vivid descriptions that she tackles even bigger themes, like time and eternity.
Exactly. And speaking of those themes, we can't forget about some of her most well-known poems, like Because I Could Not Stop for Death and I Died for Beauty, both of which are featured in this 1891 edition.
It's incredible how she approaches these, let's face it, kind of daunting subjects with a mix of fearlessness and even, dare I say, humor.
It's true. Like when she portrays death as this courteous gentleman stopping his carriage to pick her up for a ride into eternity.
Right. I mean, who else would think of that? It's so unexpected, so Dickinson.
It really is. And yet it somehow makes those big abstract ideas about death and immortality feel more relatable, more human.
And then there's that line in I Died for Beauty where she talks about being kinsman with someone who died for truth. It sends chills down my spine every time I read it.
It speaks to this deep human need for connection, for something bigger than ourselves.
And it makes you think about the legacy we leave behind, the things that outlive us.
It's a powerful thought, and it's something that Dickinson captures so beautifully in her poetry.
It's incredible, isn't it? How these poems, written by a woman who lived over a century ago, can still speak to us so powerfully today.
It's a testament to her genius, to her ability to tap into these universal human experiences.
Absolutely. And it's why her work continues to resonate with readers generation after generation.
And it's why we keep coming back to it, eager to uncover new layers of meaning with each reading.
Well said. It's been such a pleasure taking this deep dive into Emily Dickinson's world with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for the power and beauty of Dickinson's poetry. We encourage you to explore the 1891 edition for yourselves and to continue to unravel the mysteries and the brilliance of Emily Dickinson's words. Until next time.